I got too excited. What's going on, everybody? Woo! This is how you know it's live because I was all live. I got excited trying to talk to you guys, but what's going on? My name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss channel. Woo! And Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. No, Tommy, I'm not late. I'm right on. That is not coronavirus. That is literally me choking on my own breath, choking on my own spit, trying to talk to you guys. Shout out to everybody. No, Jody, he has not signed with JSU. But once again, my name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. at the Black Boss channel and Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload every single day. Now, we're here to talk about Shamar Stewart. Yes, the five-star defensive end, Shamar Stewart. It looks like it could come down to the wire between Jackson State and Miami. We're going to talk about that right after the bumper. Stay tuned. Once again, I apologize, guys, for coming on here and I'm getting ready to like almost pass out from all the coughing because I was choking up a little bit. But we're here today to talk about Shamar Stewart, the five-star defensive end. And folks, y'all Jackson State fans, JSU Coach Prime Deion Sanders, y'all got y'all got Miami Hurricanes fans afraid, scared to death that Shamar Stewart is going to choose JSU over Miami. So let's give you a little context. Obviously, we know Jackson State has signed Travis Hunter, number one player in the country. Obviously, by now, we know Jackson State has signed Kevin Coleman, the number 4 receiver in the country, the number 1 slot receiver, a 4-star recruit, top 50 in the country. Jackson State is one of only 8 schools with multiple top 50 recruits in their recruiting class. The only FCS school, one of only 8 schools in the entire country. All of that. That's the background. That's the foundation that Coach Prime has laid after pulling in a historic class in 21. He's going for even more historic in class of 22. And it looks like Shamar Stewart could be the latest name added to that. And there's reason. I'm going to tell you all why I think this is a high probability that Shamar Stewart. It's not guaranteed. It's not locked. But I'm saying 50-50 Jackson State, Miami. And here's why. So Shamar Stewart, like I said, is the number 1 player in the country. We got to give you some context. And someone in the comments asked about the Grambling news. I'm going to talk about Grambling a little bit towards the back end. This video is about Shamar Stewart, but Grambling has some major news coming out. We're going to talk about that later. It's got my Twitter set on fire. But let's give you guys some of the background, right? So Shamar Stewart, like I said, is he's a top 10 player in the country. He's number 9, I think, according to 247's composite rankings. And he's 6'6", 260 pounds, defensive end, pass rusher, exactly what Jackson State needs after losing James Houston. Because I've talked to you guys a bunch of times that this is going to take a collective effort to replace James Houston. There's not one player, I don't think, at least that I don't think, is going to be able to replace the production of James Houston. You got to also remember Antoine Owen is gone. That's 20 tackles for loss, 6 sacks gone too, to go along with over 20 tackles for loss and with 16 and a half sacks lost by James Houston. So it's going to take a collection of guys to come in and replace those 2 guys. It's a lot of production. We're talking about 40 tackle for losses and over 25 sacks gone. Like all that's gone. So I'm looking at some of your comments. Thank you for the like. Shout out to Ghost TV. Shout out to Joseph Bright. Shout out to you guys. Trucking with Tony. Trucking with Tony's always been. He said, I've seen people say Shamar canceled his visit. He did cancel his visit. We're going to talk about that, Tony. He did cancel his visit to, shout out to Romel Harris and everybody. He did cancel his visit to Texas A&M. So let me show you. I gave you some of the background on Shamar and why this is looking like it could favor Jackson State. So this was Shamar's tweet back on Erling signing day. Shamar put this out. Didn't nobody ask him? This was unsolicited. This was just his tweet. This is the young man, Shamar Stewart, out of Florida. He says, the look of when you're about to sign your letter of intent to a Power 5, and then Deion Sanders calls. And this was like he gave like this is the famous tweet he tweeted back on December 15th, and it got everybody talking. This is how Shamar Stewart got everybody's radar because this was a 5-star top 10 player in the country. A lot of people didn't think he was considering Jackson State. This was right when Travis Hunter, this is the day Travis Hunter made his decision to go to Jackson State. Jackson State, for most people, was not on any 5-stars radar. At least they didn't think before Travis Hunter. And then this tweet put out by Shamar Stewart. Now, you got to remember, this was unsolicited. Nobody told him to do that. This was because it was genuine. It was real. It was very real. And people were like, yo, shout out to my cousin Bo Dilly. They were like, whoa, okay, this 5-star is like, yo, he's literally considering Jackson State. But then it got real quiet. But Shamar went to the Under Armour All-American game. Who else was at the Under Armour All-American game? For those who can tell me in the chat, for those who know, who also was at the Under Armour All-American game, probably getting his recruitment on, probably putting on his recruiter hat. It was Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, the number 1 player in the country. Travis Hunter, the guy recently signed to Jackson State. Travis Hunter, who has been an influence to other players told by them. This is not me just saying it. This is the other players. This is Kevin Coleman. This is other guys saying Travis Hunter influenced them to choose Jackson State or to choose an HBCU. Exactly what he intended on doing. So this I have to show you. This is where it gets funny because there's a Twitter account called the J Hat. Now I want to show you guys because this makes a lot of sense. And if you understand what's taking place in college football, specifically with Jackson State, you understand why this is so comical, why this is so funny. So the J Hat was a Twitter account created by some Jackson State fan. I don't know, but it's funny because it says it's all good until you see me on the table. Now, what does it mean by that? It means all these schools, Jackson State, when you go to the 247 recruiting, if you go to 247 is the one I use the most, and it's probably the most popular like recruiting site out of all of them. There's On3, there's Rivals, there's ESPN, but 247 is probably the best, mainly because they have the 247 composite. And what the 247 composite is, they take all the top recruiting sites, ESPN, Rivals, On3, and 247. They put them all together and they rank the players based off all of these sites combined. And that's pretty popular because it kind of gives you the best, the best variable, the best site, the best your best knowledge of how these guys are ranked throughout the country. The composite might be different than the actual 247. So that's why the composite is the most used when we talk about where players are ranked in the country. So whenever we say Travis Hunter's the number 1 player in the country, well, ESPN might have him at number 2, but he's number 1 because on the 247 composite, he's number 1. So it just makes sense. Just to kind of give you some breakdown. And this is funny because on all those sites, ESPN, On3, 247, they never, when these guys are interested in Jackson State or any HBCU that matter, not just Jackson State, but Grambling and Mississippi State and Southern and all these Valley, all these different schools, they never had the HBCUs on there because they never really had to track FCS schools. But Jackson State is now getting these 5 stars. And so this account is hilarious because it says, whenever you see me on the table, it's all good until you see me on the table, because normally the Jackson State, specifically with Kevin Coleman, because that's the big one, and he was on national television. Kevin Coleman had Miami, he had Oregon, he had USC, he had all these big schools on there. And then over on the right corner, or on the left corner, if you were watching to his right, your left, watching on TV, you see that hat with a J on it. It was a red hat with a J on it. And everyone, because originally it wasn't on the table. Originally the Jackson State, if you watch the Kevin Coleman commitment, originally the Jackson State hat wasn't on the table. But as soon as everyone saw that Jackson State hat on the table, we knew what time it was. I don't know about y'all, but as soon as I saw that Jackson State hat on the table, I knew what time it was. Because you're not putting a Jackson State hat on your table as of right now. It hasn't been proven yet. You're not putting that Jackson State hat on the table if you ain't choosing the Tigers. I've yet to see it. It hasn't happened yet. And not to say Jackson State can't become established, and then, you might start seeing, Jackson State, Grambling, Valley on the table, and somebody pick up a Valley hat over a Jackson State, or a Grambling hat over a Jackson State, or a Southern, or whoever. But as of right now, when you see Jackson State on that table, there's a good chance that young man is going to play for Coach Prime. So this was funny, the fact that they made a whole Twitter page about this. But on this Twitter page has actually been very beneficial. There has been links to Miami recruiting pages and insiders. And these folks, these fans of Miami, are very, very scared that Shamar Stewart is going to pick Jackson State. See, so Shamar Stewart, for those of you who don't know, Shamar Stewart is that 5-star player that I've been talking about that this video is named after. And he took a visit to Miami this past weekend. Now, when an official visit, He canceled his official visit to Texas A&M. These are what the reports are. He was scheduled to go to Texas A&M this weekend, but instead, the Florida native canceled on Texas A&M and decided to go to Miami. Miami has a new head coach, Mario Cristobal. Miami has a new culture. Miami's trying to bring back some of that the U swag from the 80s and 90s and early 2000s to this era. Mario Cristobal played for the Miami Hurricanes in the late 80s, early 2000s. So he's trying to bring some of that, the U swag. Ed Reed, we talked about Ed Reed, was originally offered the Grambling job before head coach Hugh Jackson, but turned it down to stay at Miami to bring back some of that, the U swag with head coach Mario Cristobal. So all of that. So he goes on this visit to Miami. He's taking the pictures, throwing up the U, happy Miami, all this. But the fans ain't talking about that. On these message boards, which people pay money to be a part of, they're not talking about the fact that Shamar Stewart is throwing up the U or that Shamar Stewart had a good time on his visit to Miami. They're worried that come February 2nd, when the young man decides on where he wants to go to school, he's going to have a Jackson State hat on the table. Because they, just like us, know if the hat with the big block J is on there, he ain't coming to the U. They want a big block U hat on there, not a block J. Because if there is a J on a hat on his table when he decides to commit on February 2nd, National Signing Day, they're scared out of their minds. Don't believe me? Let's take a listen. It says if you see a JSU hat, these are fans on the Miami message board. If you see a JSU hat, already know I saw the hat on Coleman's table and I knew they had him. This was a guy who responded. He said, next guy doesn't have to have the hat on the table, and pulls it out because they're scared that Jackson State is lurking around, because it's a lot of Jackson State talk around Shamar Stewart. So if Stewart has a JSU hat, I'd be nervous. If he doesn't, I'd be double nervous because I think he's going to pull it out the bag. Because now, for Stewart and any other top recruit, they kind of know that they'd be giving up the surprise after after Kevin Coleman, they'd be giving up the surprise if the hat's on the table. So now some of them are nervous that he's going to pull the hat from out the bag. Let's continue. Let's look at more messages. Bro, the hat is a dead giveaway because the other hats are all established and it sticks out. There's no reason for the hat to be there unless you're picking it. These are people, they're scared. These folks are scared. It don't stop there. It does not stop there. These folks are really, really nervous that this young man is going to pull out a Jackson State hat. So nervous. Listen, look at this one. This one's even funnier. It says, this is a Canes thing. So this was posted on Friday morning, the weekend of Shamar's visit. It says, yeah, no way he puts the JSU hat on the table and doesn't pick it. I don't want to lose him, but if guys want to play second or third tier football, it's their choice. Yeah, this is them hating. This is them deflecting. This is them hating. Miami ain't been good in a very long time, but now you're mad because Coach Prime is pulling these top-ranked recruits, and you didn't ever think in your wildest dreams that you'd lose recruits. Same with Florida State. They never thought in their wildest dreams that they would lose a recruit to an HBCU. And someone responded and says, I want someone to put the JSU hat on the table and light it on fire. See, this is them deflecting. This is them being mad. This is them projecting. And they're hating. It's just hating. It's the same hate. Just hate because they are really shaking in their boots that they are going to lose this 5-star to Jackson State. They really think. Like, they really think after what Travis Hunter did, after what Kevin Coleman did, these folks, they don't. They don't respect the HBCUs. They see it as second or third tier football. And see, that's why what the announcement that Hugh Jackson got coming out this week, that's why what Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, is doing this, in HBCU space, that's why it's so important. Because they don't look at HBCU football as real football. Like the man just said it, it's second or third tier football. I've had plenty of people in my comments say, why would Travis Hunter do his career like that? Why would Kevin Coleman do his career like that? They're not going to get the exposure that they need. They're not going to get the competition that they need. They're not going to get this, and that. It's all about what they ain't going to get. But it's not enough about what they are going to get. That experience, that fun playing the game, the NILs that's coming with it, everything. It's all about what they ain't going to get. Nothing about the experience and everything that they are going to get. Nothing about the culture, the foundation that they're setting. Nothing about all the good things that are taking place. It's a bunch of about what they ain't going to get, what they ain't going to get, what they ain't going to get. No, it's about what they are going to get. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be awesome. Hit the thumbs up button, guys. We're in here really heavy. Hit the thumbs up button. Thank you guys for tuning in. Now, I want to show you guys why Mr. Shamar Stewart is so coveted. This young man is a beast, point blank, period. I've told you guys about Shamar Stewart before. I got to do it again because this is why they're scared. Now, remember I was explaining all the 247 and the composite and all that stuff. I just spoke about all of that. First of all, the date to watch, February 2nd. That's when he is going to announce his commitment. I think it's between, this is just me, this is not insider information or nothing new, nothing like that. I think it's between Miami and Jackson State. That's just me. He was a heavy Texas A&M lean, and he still could pick Texas A&M. They're in his top 3. But he canceled his official to Texas A&M and instead took it to Miami. So I believe it's between Miami and Jackson State. That's just me. Now, there's rumors that he could be taking a visit to Jackson State this weekend. That is just a rumor. I do not have that confirmed. I have not spoken to anybody. These kids ended up at Jackson State and nobody ever knows about it. Kevin Coleman was at Jackson State. Nobody knew about it. Travis Hunter, well, everybody knew when Travis Hunter came because he came during the season. But these kids are going to Jackson State, keeping it on the low, and then popping up with a Jackson State hat and a commitment. Now, this is why they're all going crazy and they're going to be sick if he chooses Jackson State. Look at the man's ranking. He's the number 1 player in the state of Florida. Now, I've spoken about how good football is across this country, but specifically in the South and even more specifically in the state of Florida. This kid's the number 1 player in the entire state of Florida. That means you're pretty darn good. He is a 5-star, consensus 5-star. 247 thinks he's the number 7 player in the country, but all the other rankings think he's number 9, so he's a top 10 player in the country. But the number 1 is pretty consensus. Number 1 in the state of Florida, which is pretty impressive. This measurables. 6'6". Now this says 272. I've been told he's slimmed down a little bit down to 260, which is still massive. I say slimmed down, and he's 260 pounds, which is massive. Like he's literally a physical freak. He's a physical freak. He's the size of Myles Garrett. Like, this young man is the size at 18, 19 years old, going into his freshman year of college. He's the size of Myles Garrett. So yeah, that's why these teams, these schools, these fans of these schools are so sick that he could potentially be going to Jackson State because he is that super, like he's that physically gifted. He's that physically gifted. It's crazy. 6'6", 260 pounds. Crazy stuff. Now, this is why, let me show you some of his highlights. This is via his huddle page. And this is why teams or schools or fans of schools are so upset that he could possibly pick Jackson State. Because once again, I just showed you his measurables. He's 6'6", 260 pounds. He's the top 10 player in the country. He's the number 1 player in the state of Florida, which is a football factory. And then he gets on the field. I'm not playing any music because, music, copyright, all that stuff. He's out here making plays like this, just bulldozing the left tackle. They can't block him. This is in the state of Florida, guys. This isn't just, just any kind of football. This is literally in the state of Florida. This is him dominating the competition in one of the most competitive football states in the entire country, Florida. And he is worth all the hype. 6'6", 260 pounds. He's a man amongst boys. And he obviously this kind of stuff, you're like, hey, Jeff, he's a top 10 player in the country. He's supposed to dominate his competition. Like that's what he's supposed to do. Ooh, just a man amongst boys, quick, powerful, all that good stuff. He's supposed to dominate the average high schooler. And I'll say, you know what? You're probably right. Like maybe not to this extent in the state of Florida, but okay, I'll give you that. I'll say, okay, you're probably right. He is supposed to dominate in the state of Florida. But what is he supposed to do at like an All-American game? Like, how is he supposed to look against other top players in the country? Like, how is he supposed to look when, like, even though I get it, he's Shamar Stewart, he's a top player, but how is he supposed to look against some of the best players in the country? So now I'm going to show you what he was able to do while he was at the Under Armour All-American game. Now remember, the Under Armour All-American game is the best players in the country. Like these are the best of the best. These are the guys they play against in high school. These are the guys that were hand selected by the crew at Under Armour to come and participate in one of the most prestigious all-star games in the country. And let's see how Shamar Stewart does against them. Okay, just kind of tossing that man, move him out the way. Oh, that's nothing. That's pretty easy. Once again, a right tackle, just moving around him, strong, put him on his back. That's a pancake the other direction. Just a man amongst boys. Okay, I'm going to show off my quickness and speed and get around you, Mr. Kelvin Banks. Now, once again, these are other guys that are going to play for some of the best schools. Just tossing him out the way, just doing whatever he wants. Just a man literally amongst boys, even at the All-Star games. Yes, Shamar Stewart is special. Shamar Stewart's a great player. Shamar Stewart's got these other programs, like they're over themselves. They're pretty upset the fact that he is going to make some noise, that he is going to be a problem, that he is going to. Now, B More says if Deion keeps his momentum up, every top recruit will be at home. Now and I've talked about this. You're right, B More. These guys are committed to Jackson State, and some of them haven't even been on campus. Some of them haven't even been to a game, like to the actual atmosphere. You get these guys to come now. They're going to be there at an Alcorn game, at a Southern game, at a Grambling game, at a whatever, and see 50, 60,000 in the stadium, in the stands, and cheering. And they're not going to be able to. They're going to get whatever recruit they want in the country. They're going to be able to do whatever they want. And CMB says his team went 4-6. So just imagine, his team wasn't that good, and he still was able to do everything that he was able to do. He was still able to dominate. He was still able to go up and put up the numbers. And then he goes to the All-Star game, the Under Armour All-American game. And I just showed you how he was putting dudes on their back, doing whatever he wanted to those young men. So Shamar Stewart is special, and Shamar Stewart's got Miami fans. He's got them in a blender because he could quite literally go either way. Jackson State, Miami, Texas A&M is still in there. Texas A&M is still in there. Now, back on signing day, this was before he had put out the tweet about Jackson State. So this is Shamar Stewart's Instagram. And on social media, these kids tell everything about themselves. So on December 15th, the day Travis Hunter committed, Shamar Stewart let the world know that he wasn't signing until February 2nd, which now is a very short time away. And his top three at the time was Texas A&M, Georgia, and Miami. The U. Obviously, no signs of Jackson State. Because if a five-star puts Jackson State in his top 3 or 4, it kind of, a lot of people think that the checks are cashed and the deed is done. This was a long time ago. This was back on December 16th. So this was the day after National Signing Day. A lot has changed in those 4 weeks. That was a month ago. A lot has changed in a month. A whole lot has changed. And the momentum to Jackson State for this young man has also changed. It's picked up. I think, this is just me, I believe that the choice is between Jackson State and Miami. Now, the young man is from Florida. He is from Opelika, Florida. So the Miami connection is strong. The Miami connection is there. The Miami connection is real. They got Mario Cristobal. They got a new staff. They got Ed Reed. They got some, and Mario Cristobal is a wizard at recruiting. Mario Cristobal also recruited Kayvon Thibodeau to Oregon. Kayvon Thibodeau is scheduled to be a top 3 pick in the 2022 NFL draft and has the same measurables as who? Shamar Stewart. Was a top 10 player like who? Shamar Stewart. So that can also be going through the young man's mind. Think about that. My coach, well, a coach that could be my coach in Mario Cristobal, just had a guy that has similar measurables as me. He just had a guy that was ranked just as high as me. He just had a guy to play for him that is going to be a top 3 NFL draft pick, which I hope to be. And we do essentially the same thing. And so he's probably thinking, why not go play for him? I get to stay at home at the crib. I get to try to help restore Miami. And this coach has a proven track record to help guys get drafted because Kayvon Thibodeau is just the guy that happens to play Shamar Stewart's position. But Mario Cristobal has a great track record on putting guys in the NFL from his Oregon days. He has a really good track record. Mario Cristobal has a great track record of being a A-list star-studded recruiter. He is a beast at recruiting. And when you're recruiting for Miami and you're a former the U player, you're a former Cane recruiting for the Canes, stuff is a lot easier. It's a whole lot easier being a former Cane recruiting for the Canes and having a track record of putting guys in the NFL, especially guys on the defensive line, i.e. Kayvon Thibodeau. So those are just nuggets to process. Those are just all of these things you have to take into consideration because we really don't know where the young man is leaning. We don't know. If I had to guess, I'd say he's more leaning towards Miami than Jackson State, but Jackson State is there. Trust and believe. These Canes fans aren't worried for no reason. Jackson State is there. So that is the latest news on Shamar Stewart. That is the latest news on Shamar Stewart as far as him potentially choosing between Jackson State and Miami. Hit the thumbs up button, guys, because we're in here really heavy. Now, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Grambling. Now, Coach Hugh Jackson and Grambling is making a whole lot of noise. Like when I say a whole lot of noise is being made with the G-Man and Grambling. I put out this tweet today because this is what was told to me today by someone close to the program. Let me go ahead and share with you this tweet. It's very vague. I'm going to just be honest. It's very, very vague. But the tweet says, let's look at it. And this was told to me by someone within the Grambling program. It says, I'm being told that Coach Hugh Jackson has a massive announcement coming out this week. Get ready, Gram fam, because things are about to heat up. This is not me. This is, okay, a lot of times I say, oh, this is just my opinion. This is just, what I think. This is what I was told. I was told this by someone who was very, very well-connected. Someone very, very well-connected within the Grambling program. Someone who's very, very well-connected with Coach Hugh Jackson. I was told this. This isn't something I just made up. It ain't just something that, I'm just telling you guys to try to get buzz or whatever. My Twitter is at JLightsy7, by the way. But I was told by someone within the Grambling program that a massive announcement is coming out this week. Not like, no. Like I was told this is going to be something that not even Deion Sanders, Coach Prime at Jackson State has done yet. Now, what it is, I don't know. I was just told that, hey, the announcement's coming this week. Hopefully it's supposed to be in by Friday. Because, today was MLK Day. A lot of people from Grambling was out, obviously, because no school, MLK, celebrate the holiday, observing the holiday. So the people weren't on campus. But come tomorrow and the next few days, all the I's are going to be dotted, all the T's are going to be crossed, and some huge announcement is coming out. Now, I don't know what it is. Now, someone is saying they got another JUCO player. It's not that. It's not like a recruit. It's not a recruit because recruiting announcements come out every day, specifically for Grambling. Coach Hugh Jackson doing crazy at Grambling with recruiting, especially recruiting the West Coast. They're getting dudes every single day. So the person who told me this wouldn't have told me that, this is a massive announcement if it was just another commit. At least I don't think. The way they made it seem like it was going to be something like earth-shattering, something crazy, something really, really big. Now, Grambling, I will say, Coach Hugh Jackson and Grambling got a big donation from an alumni. They gave them 10 grand and they gave them like 2 huge monitors. I want to say Coach Hugh tweeted that out, like talking about how the alumni gave him a bunch of money, a big donation, and 2 huge TV screens, like 80-inch TV screens to upgrade their facilities. So what I am being told is that this announcement is like going to help all HBCUs. It's big for Grambling. It's so big, it's supposed to help everyone out. Now, I don't know what it is. I have no idea. People are saying, what is it? It's not supposed to be a recruit. I don't think it's a coach. What I'm being told is that this is going to be a game changer. Kind of like what, Coach Prime is doing with JSU. This is supposed to be like Grambling's version of some kind of game-changing announcement. So be on the lookout for that coming this week. You can follow me on Twitter at JLightsy7. I'm going to, have all the updates for whatever nuggets they feed me. I'm going to push it out there. But I do not know what the announcement is. I'm just told that it's supposed to be really, really big. So be sure to follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at JLightsy7 for all things Grambling as far as this massive announcement, whatever it is. So shout out to Grambling, shout out to Coach Hugh Jackson. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's all I have today. Shamar Stewart announcement is February 2nd. We're gonna be following that really, really closely. You can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter for all the updates on that. And Grambling is supposed to be making a big announcement this week. So be on the lookout for that. And don't forget who told you first. It was me. I'm just kidding. But thank you guys for tuning in. My name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. at the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the like button. Hit the like button before you leave. Thank you guys for tuning in. And I will see you next time. Peace.